Wow, wow, wow.
There is so much potential in the two of them.
I actually couldn't believe that the judges said that. I mean, I liked his push-ups.
Yes, you can paint the smile on for the performance, but watch the VTs. Welcome to the Icebreakers podcast. I'm Matt Evers. I'm here with Frankie Seaman. Dancing on Ice Series 16, Episode 1 has happened.
It was amazing. Wow, wow, wow. We have seen some incredible performances tonight.
Oh.
And then, a couple of shaky ones. But all in all, what a spectacular start to that series.
It really was so shiny, so sparkly. I can't wait to get into this with you today, Frankie. However, something even more important. We have to say a huge thank you to Lakeside Shopping Center for our beautiful new studio that I'm in love with.
This is a breathtaking space, you guys. I never, ever thought that we would get such a beautiful, glamorous set. It is gorgeous. Thank you, Lakeside.
We had prepared to do this over Zoom with me in California, Frankie here in the UK.
I was going to be in my bedroom covered in cats. That was how it was going to be. And now look at us.
And I was going to be on the beach with a palm tree and maybe a margarita. But no, times have changed within the last week.
This has been incredible for us. So actually, Lakeside saying that they wanted to partner with us and host this Dancing on Ice podcast has been a life-changing experience. I came to Lakeside today, did a little shopping. Thank you, Stradivarius. Very nice. That was a sale on. I had to.
I gotta say, and I picked my jumper up literally about 5 minutes ago because Zara has a massive sale on right now too. And we're not getting paid for those.
I know. I feel like we're not going to make any money here. We're just going to spend it all at Lakeside.
That's so true.
But it's free parking, so there you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Speaking of Dancing on Ice, we're back.
It's so good to be back. I love it. Love, love, love it. It's that time of year again, people. All the glamour, all the glitz, a little bit of ice skating, sprinkle some sparkles on there, and I am in seventh heaven.
Some fabulous celebrities and some not so fabulous celebrities.
Oh, spoiler alert. Well, we need to talk about all of them.
So yes, and also Holly's return to television.
Yeah, I mean, welcome back, Holly. It's lovely to see her back on live TV. And I know she's had a tough time. And I don't think we really need to go into that because everybody knows what happened. And I don't really want to talk about it because actually it gives me anxiety too. I've had other friends that have experienced that kind of thing when they've been on live TV and there have been, situations where they were not safe. And so it's lovely to see her back. And she looked amazing.
I have to say, I think she looks better than ever.
I agree. She had this glow about her and this confidence, and she was light and she was free and she was airy. And that dress, ba-va-va-va-voom.
And not only Holly, Stephen Mulhern, welcome back to the Dancing on Ice studio.
Do you know, I remember Stephen Mulhern when we were doing, I want to say series 2 or series 3, or series 2 was my first series, but maybe series 2 or series 3. And Stephen would be roving around backstage. He was the backstage guy and he would pick up all the backstage gossip and like the fun bits backstage, and he'd try and get us to say funny things on camera. Such a great guy. So nice to see him back on Dancing on Ice. And I feel like this has been his dream job, and he has played the long game.
He has. He has waited. Now, a couple years back, he filled in for Philip when Philip had COVID. So they brought him in. Yeah, they brought him in, and it was like a completely different energy in the studio. So it was really nice to see him totally fit into this first episode seamlessly.
I hope he does some magic tricks. He's a very talented magician.
Is he?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
That's right, because you didn't see him disappear and come back again. You wait till he pulls his rabbit out of the hat.
Really? Seriously, a rabbit?
Well, I don't know, but
a stuffed rabbit?
I don't know. Let's hope so. He's a great magician. Yeah, it's his passion, actually.
Is it?
Yeah, he knows a bit of magic.
You have got so much knowledge in that little head of yours.
Yeah, call it dirt. I have the dirt on everybody. Be careful. Don't cross the Frankster.
Wow. I will slip you a tenner after the show.
It's going to cost more than that, babes. I've got more than that on you. Okay.
So 6 couples have performed. Which we will break down every performance, but we also can't forget about Torval and Dean. It was really nice to see them, obviously back on the panel again this year. And as well, we got to see a lot of them actually in these like first steps boot camp videos.
I know, it's always lovely to see them on the ice. I mean, obviously, I can't wait to see them actually on the ice. And I think this series is going to build. It's the 40-year anniversary of the Bolero. And I think we're going to see this series build up to a spectacular magical performance. And I personally cannot wait. I want to fast forward to it now.
Well, they did tease that next week that we're going to see them skate.
Oh, I missed that bit. Did they?
Yeah,
Did I go to the bathroom? What happened?
possibly.
Did I fall asleep? What did I miss
You
it?
jumped on Instagram, I think.
I think I was making notes at that point.
But yeah, they did tease that next week, I guess, we're going to be seeing a performance of theirs, which is quite unusual because we normally don't get to see them skate until at least halfway through the series. But
And
you're
don't-
right. I think they're going to start leading up to this 40th Bolero.
And don't forget the 40th anniversary is on Valentine's Day. So that's going to be a really spectacular show.
Ooh, I cannot wait. Cannot wait.
Would love to be in that number. I bet it's going to be amazing. What about the professionals skating around London in their little rollerblades and then seamlessly transitioning onto the ice? That was great.
Yeah, it was.
It was a nervy moment for us as professional ice skaters, wasn't it?
It was hard because for me to enjoy it, because I've been there, right? We've done rollerblade work before, either in the pick skates or actually on rollerblades. And the cement or the ground looked wet,
So wet.
which is so dangerous.
I know. I could tell they were all nervous. Well, okay, you can't tell they're nervous, and obviously the people at home wouldn't know that. But we know as professional ice skaters, with our insight, that when you rollerblade on wet ground, it is incredibly slippy, like really break your neck slippy.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure they were all being very tense. I could tell they were being cautious. They didn't do any tricks or anything like that. But I did love that they went around London. We got to see a little bit of the sights, and then they
Yeah, it was cool. I think too, they went to the rink at Battersea Station. It was an actual ice rink that was set up outside. So it was really cool. That must have been a really nice experience to shoot, to film.
Chilly though.
It's freezing. Do you remember that one year?
At Canary Wharf.
Canary
When I
Wharf.
nearly died of hypothermia.
Yeah.
And there was that one time when I couldn't get my trousers off because I was trying to huddle up in these trousers and they couldn't come off. And Dan Wiston had to rip them open because Jane and Chris were on the ice in a bit of chiffon and it was -5 and everybody had literally gone blue.
It was
Horrific.
horrendous.
It was horrific, yeah. So hopefully they had a better experience than that.
We did. I will never forget that.
I think I lost a finger over toe.
How cold it was.
Mm.
Oh my God. Yeah, so they went from the wheels, then back to the ice. Obviously, with Dancing on Ice, these big opening numbers, big tricks, lots of sparkles, lots of hair. The girls looked incredible.
Big hair. I mean, I love a rollerblade, so that's quite inspired me to get back on mine.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got planned?
I don't know.
She just did a little wink at me.
I know. That's my flirty wink. You want to come rollerblade with me?
I do, actually.
Well,
I do love rollerblading.
Well, let's do it.
And then we saw the celebs enter. All of the celebs enter at the end of that opening number. And all I have to say to this is there were no falls. I don't know if I was disappointed or really excited.
I'm disappointed. Listen, it's really hard when you see them all come on at once like that. There's a lot of movement. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of bodies. I couldn't really tell who was who because with the camera angles and everything and the costumes and the makeup, you can't always tell. So I was hoping to be able to immediately identify who was going to be strong and who was going to be the weakest link in the pack. But actually, I just ended up enjoying the routine.
Yeah.
I couldn't really see who was who.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, totally agree.
What did you think about the silver costuming? I mean, we have to talk about that. It was very monochromatic.
Very monochromatic. It's very Dancing on Ice because obviously the more sparkles, the more shiny you are. Everybody associates that with the show. But again, I have to agree with you. It was a little bit difficult to pick people out because it was so monochromatic. I didn't know who was who. I couldn't tell sometimes because there wasn't a lot of skating because the rink is quite small.
And there's a lot of bodies on the ice.
And there's a lot of bodies. I mean, there's 24 bodies on the ice at that point. So it's, I don't know. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of each couple just to kind of
highlighted for a little
bit. Just to kind of give an idea of who's who and sort of how they're going to perform in a group setting like that. But
I agree with you. I would have liked to have seen each couple highlighted at least for a couple of seconds. I didn't feel like we got enough time. So to me, it was just one big ensemble number. But maybe that's helped everybody's confidence. It's good to get your feet or your skates on the ice in front of an audience in that environment with the lights, with the costumes, with the hair, with the makeup. It just helps to settle everybody's nerves a little bit. Although it didn't settle everybody's nerves, did it?
It did not, no. And there's a major one that didn't. However, first to skate was Greg Rutherford and Vanessa James to Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. I'm just going to say it. I freaking loved it.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it.
Oh, well, he was shot. It was like he was being shot out of a cannon. He was out of
Well, he was. He went first.
Literally. He felt like that too, right? Yeah. He was fast. He was confident. I loved him. More Greg, please.
Now, they have been coined Team Olympic because obviously Greg has won the Olympics twice or was an Olympian twice.
He was definitely in 2012. I remember seeing him in 2012, actually. And of course, we know Vanessa's been there, 4 times maybe?
4 times.
I mean, that's incredible. For a woman in our sport to have had such a long amateur career is absolutely spectacular.
There is so much potential in the two of them. First off, individually, they're so strong. Greg has showed us this week that he can skate. He understands the sport. He understands partnering. He understands how to lift, which for a male celebrity can take a long time.
Oh, and did you see that jump that he did?
Yeah.
He literally could have cleared the Empire State Building. It was huge. But I have to say, did you see in the VTs, in their training, there was a tiny little bit of tension, and that is where you see two great athletes come together, and they really want it. I mean, you can imagine how hard they are going to be able to compete. They just have that mindset, and you could see that they were kind of really pushing each other on.
Oh, absolutely.
They're not going to go easy on each other.
You can tell in their social media, because they do post quite a bit, that they've got a fantastic relationship, and I think you're right. They have that common ground of Olympics and that mindset and that mentality of how to get to the end. How do we win this? And it will be thought out. It'll be methodical. It will be literally every day. Okay, what's the next step? Like, to be able to get into their head and figure out this formula that they're probably have already put together, I mean, it would be absolutely priceless for the show.
Now, they scored 25.5. They had 5.55s, 6.5s across the board. It was pretty evenly matched from everybody. And I will say that I even thought that was a little bit low. Now, I know it's week 1. They were the first couple out, so we didn't have anything to compare them to. But that routine blew me away. That leap of faith that she did, where she took off at speed, backwards, she can't see where he is, and she threw herself into his arms and he caught her. We call it the leap of faith. And actually, our great friend Brianne, she used to do that in a show with me years ago. And I remember once when that went horribly wrong. And I'm talking about professional skaters. So that can go wrong really quickly. So for them to do that on week 1 with him being an amateur is incredible.
And then not only catching her after the leap of faith, but then rotating the lift.
Rotating the lift
is a lot of work for the boy.
Do you think you're the new Christopher Dean? Because I do.
Yeah.
Like, really? He's amazing.
Absolutely.
Though, I mean, they were fast, they were confident, they were happy, they were joyful. Like, everything about them screamed, you should be opening the show because you were brilliant. But Christopher Dean said that he thought that Greg needed a little bit better knee bend.
I think, though, knowing Chris so well, he loves to give praise, but he also likes to give constructive criticism. And that's part of the
perfectionist.
He is a perfectionist, right? And I think a lot of times what Chris is doing with his comments to you is sliding that sort of like secret note underneath the door to tell you, hey, this is what's to work on because this will only make you better.
Well, okay, but I disagree with him. So sorry, Dino, if you're listening. I'm sure you are. But no, I thought Greg had amazing knee bend, so...
Now, I have to say his forward and backward crossovers on the technical side, his forward and backward crossovers for week 1 were absolutely incredible. His posture isn't bad. I know a couple of the judges, I think Odie had mentioned about his posture, about not leaning down too much or slumping over towards Vanessa for some of those holds, but I didn't mind it. I think, it gives him something to work on, and that is something that is actually quite easily polished. Because he understands the technicality of how the skate works, forwards and backwards, turning. He had a step sequence. He did a twizzle, for God's sakes, which sometimes you don't even see until a required element in like week 7 or 8. So he's on par right now.
So he did a step sequence side by side with Vanessa, all by himself, unaided completely. I mean, for week 1, this is incredible. Really, really great skating. So it's not just that he can lift. It's not just that he can bounce around. I mean, he did that amazingly huge jump. But he can also skate and do footwork, which for week 1 is really, really cool. There was a really nice moment as they left the ice. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh, I didn't see it.
And they were all like, I don't know, they were kind of like cheering on the crowd as well. It was very Olympic, the way that they celebrated their routine as they left the ice. And I thought it showed a great confidence. And I thought it showed that they knew they'd done a good job. Even though they were first out and there was nobody to compare to, they knew that they'd done as good as they could do.
Now, I have to explain the scores because a lot of times with the first 2 weeks, people don't understand why did they get a 6.5 or why is it a 3, right?
Go for it.
However, because it's all based on an ordinal system, so sometimes they compare off that first routine. But the judges will sit and they'll watch a dress rehearsal and they make their marks and their notes from there. And they'll typically give them, okay, this is the baseline for the entire group. And they'll mark from that point. But because we only have 6 celebs skating this week, that's why they can afford to score a little bit higher. When we get to show 3, when there's 11 contestants, we're going to see 2.5s. You know, like the range has to extend that much more. So that's why I just wanted a little side note. That's why sometimes the scoring the first 2 weeks seems a little bit out of place, but in the grand scheme of things, that's where it goes. That's where it comes from.
I think it's great that you've explained that for the people at home, because I do get a lot of questions about that. Like how do the judges score? How do they know? And of course, this is the first skate that we've seen. And again, as I said, there's nobody to compare it to. So that's great that you've explained that for everybody, I'm sure.
How would you have scored?
I actually would have, I think 6.5 to 7. Is that too high? I just really loved their energy. I really loved their confidence, their style. I know that Christopher Dean said that he thought Greg was a little bit hunched over Vanessa, but actually I think he was almost being a little bit protective of her, which as a male celebrity, you hardly ever see that because they hardly ever have that confidence that they feel that they can protect their female skater. I thought it was lovely.
I was on par with the rest of the panel too. I would have given him a 6.5.
Cool.
Room for improvement.
Can we just talk about their costumes? They wore silver, so I feel like everybody wore silver in the opening routine, and then they were wearing silver.
I didn't put that two together.
They were silver head to toe, and I know obviously sometimes these things change around, and the production may not have known who was going to skate first, but I have to say that was a silver costume, but a gold star performance.
Love it. You're welcome. You're here all night.
I'm here all night. Try the beef.
Try the beef. Okay. So from Greg and Vanessa James, we then go to Roxy Shahidi and Sylvain Longchambeau.
Are these the 2 most beautiful people on ice?
They possibly are Ken and Barbie on ice.
Wow, she looked like a movie star. Sorry, I don't want to jump straight into how she looked, and I know it's not particularly appropriate these days to comment on how people look, but she blew me away. I want a poster of her on my wall. Wow, and I mean, you know, Sylvain always looks great, and he's a resident hottie, so like we get that, Sylvain, you can have that. But I almost feel like she looked better than him tonight, and that is high praise indeed.
That is high praise indeed.
That dress on her, wow, she looks amazing.
She did look incredible. Now they skated to You Don't Own Me by Say Grace. Very sort of cafe setup.
A little bit sultry.
A little bit sultry. I did appreciate the fact that she did the first 10 seconds on her own. Granted, there wasn't a lot of skating, but to start a performance on your first routine on Dancing on Ice on your own says a lot about her confidence.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, as a professional skater, even sometimes when we would go out and do some of the group numbers, you're a little bit like, oh, it takes you by surprise sometimes, those nerves. So for her to actually have the confidence to say, yes, I can do this is amazing.
Yeah.
Especially for week 1. And I thought actually she did have a confidence about her that I really enjoyed. I mean, you know, she's very flexible. She's got great lifts, and she was quite fast across the ice.
The spiral that she did, or arabesque, if you're not familiar with skating terms, was incredible. I was really impressed with how flexible. It surprised me because from the VT, when we see the boot camp in the first steps days, she was so stiff. You could tell she was so nervous. And then in this performance, when she did the arabesque or the spiral, it was beautiful.
Well, even in some of the lifts that she was doing, her flexibility really shone through. And I think Sylvain will really be able to work with that because he'll know how to use that awareness that she has of her body. You could already see in this routine that he was starting to lift her in interesting ways. And I'm sure that will continue. Obviously, we want to see her improve her skating. She was quite fast, and I feel like she has good basics.
Yeah.
But I feel like there is still, of course, room for improvements. But the audience booed, you know, when they were given the scores.
The scores, for sure. I was going to say, I agree with you on that because I think out of all the teams we saw tonight, she's got the most potential.
Right. The most potential for improvement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, most potential for improvement.
You know, you could tell she was a little bit nervous, though, because she was lip syncing at the start of the routine. She was lip syncing for her line. And I always know when celebs start to lip sync, you think, oh, that's a nervous tick.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can rein that in a little bit.
For sure. Now, the judges, it was even across the board. Ash, Odie, Jane, and Chris all scored her 5s. So obviously that's a total score of 20. And you're right, the audience booed the scores.
I kind of booed a little bit too. Like silently on the inside, I was a little bit booing.
Now,
sorry, Jane and Chris.
You, obviously, because you did the show for many years, do you feel that's a bit of panto?
Yeah, I do feel it is a little bit of panto. And I think, because we'd already had Greg and Vanessa and it was such a different feel to the routine. Greg and Vanessa were like fireworks coming out of that tunnel, whereas Roxy and Sylvan were a little bit more sultry and there was a different feel to it. I guess on balance, those fives were about right. I would have given maybe a little bit higher, maybe 5.5.
Right.
Not incredibly high. And like you said, at this point, it doesn't really matter because all the scores will even out, as you pointed out, in week 3. But yeah, I kind of got on board with the audience booing as well. I liked it.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that there's room for improvement. It didn't wow me. The last helicopter lift that they did is a huge lift. And it does take a lot of confidence for the female celeb to be able to do that.
And a lot of back strength, because not only are you holding your entire body weight from just your thighs, where your male partner is holding you by the thighs, you have to lift your entire body weight up. But don't forget, people, that that's rotation as well. So the centrifugal force is pulling your body down. Your back muscles are screaming at that point because it's so hard to hold your body up and hold your head up while you're spinning. And Sylvan spins fast, as we know. So I thought that was a really lovely trick. And I think a lot of people don't always understand how hard some of these tricks are. When the girls are picked up, they think, oh, she's just been picked up in the air.
Yeah.
But anybody that has tried these lifts will know that takes a lot of back strength to hold that.
And we get a lot of questions, well, I have, especially over the course of the last 17 years of, oh, well, is it easier for the guys to skate or the girls to be lifted and this, that, and the other? And I've always said it's apples to oranges, right? Yes, the male celebs tend to pick up the skating a little bit easier, where the female celebs, it's easier for them to be lifted. But like you just said, when you're in the air, it takes just as much strength than it is to actually hold somebody up if the role is reversed.
And don't forget that at the end of that lift, you have to land on the ice on one foot, on 1/2 inch of blade, which is 1/4 inch wide. So there's no room for maneuver. If you get that wrong, you're flat on your back, and it doesn't matter how strong your partner is, he can't hold you up coming out of a lift like that if you don't hit that landing. So there is a lot of precision involved and a lot of strength involved too. Now, just fight in the corner for the ladies.
Yes, for sure. Now, Odie said she loved it. It was beautiful. She wants to see her drop her shoulders a little bit. Ash wants more commitment, which I agree with. I do agree that if she were to commit to the skating a little bit more, kind of give in to the blade, a lot of the technique will loosen up.
I feel that you said they have a lot of potential, though, and I think that's where the potential lies, is that her skating will improve. I feel like she maybe just turned a corner on her skating maybe 2 weeks ago or maybe just before Christmas, and she hasn't had that time yet to relax into it. But I feel like when she does, she's going to blow us away.
Yeah, she really could. If she relaxes into it.
Relax.
Enjoys the
She needs to get into her yoga zone.
Well, and look who you're skating with. You're skating with one of the most handsome men in the country.
I mean, he's got big muscles.
Huge muscles.
He's been working on that.
His biceps.
Christopher Dean says she looked like a deer in headlights and she needs to work on her basics. Harsh, Chris.
Yeah, that was a bit harsh.
Dino.
For him, especially.
I know, he's a nice guy. He said she looked like a deer in headlights and she needs to work on her basics. I actually did his voice then too.
Maybe
Christopher Dean.
Well, they showed the clip of when Torval and Dean were in Emmerdale.
Oh, I love that.
So maybe they're like, he feels more comfortable around Roxy now because they had a scene together.
Maybe they're just going to do a trade-off and she's actually going to take over as an Olympic ice dancer and he's actually just going to transition straight into Emmerdale now.
Perfect.
I'm ready. Ready for it.
The
crossover we all want.
All right. So next up, number 3 to skate, Ricky Hatton and Robin Johnstone.
Hitman Hatton, come on.
They skated to the theme from Rocky, which is called Gonna Fly Now by Bill Conti. Okay.
Okay, everybody take a deep breath. Everybody breathe out.
There's a lot to say about this. Good and bad. I'm going to take it back to what we saw from them on his first steps days.
Yeah.
And because that's how we all watched it, right? You don't ever know what you're going to see until the music starts. And those first steps, I was like, whoa, I expected a little bit more from him. He was rocky.
Yeah, he was very rocky. He was rocking all over the place. Look, the Hitman Hatton, you cannot. I mean, what are we going to say? He'll just beat us up.
Oh, I forgot about that. Ricky, I really loved it. I loved it. It
was great. Look, Ricky is an athlete, so he can take it. He knows, and you can tell that he knows by the way that he spoke in the Kiss and Cry, that wasn't a competitive performance and that he's going to be in trouble.
And what you mean by that is competitive in regards to the other skaters.
Yeah, he will have watched the other skaters and he will have seen them anyway before tonight. So he knows what he's up against. And if that's the best that he can do, then that is the best that he can do. And sometimes, you know, if you cannot skate and you don't have a natural affinity for it and you are a bit nervous and you can tell he's very stiff, no doubt he's had a lot of injuries over his career. So I'm sure that hasn't helped. But, you know, sometimes there's only so much you can do with what you're given. So, you know, him getting down on his knees and getting back up, that in itself is very hard. It's not skating. Athletically, it's very hard. And him doing the push-ups and the rollover and extra push-ups. I mean, all of these things show that he is incredibly fit still.
Yeah.
He's incredibly strong still. Is he an incredibly strong skater? No.
And as the judges panel said, which I completely agree, he has been to date the most improved from where he started on those first. Really?
Yeah, I disagree with that. I actually couldn't believe that the judges said that.
I mean, but looking from the first steps day from boot camp.
Improved.
I thought he did.
I mean, he improved, but did he improve like the most improved? No, I definitely don't think he was. I have to disagree with the judges on this one. And, you know, I love all the judges. You guys are great, 1-1-1, all of that, but no. No. I disagree. He's not the most improved. There's a lot more improvement that could happen. I would like to see more improvement. Are we going to see it? I don't know. He's already in the skate-off next week. I feel for them.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry. I feel for them. Of course I do. Nobody wants to be that first person in the skate-off. However, he is a fighter. Will he come out and fight for that? Well, I hope so.
So scores were pretty much even across the board. Threes, and then Chris gave him a 3.5, which was a total of 12.5. He did say in his little Kiss and Cry interview that the first couple of days on ice, he felt like RoboCop on ice.
I mean, I'd say that was unkind to RoboCop.
Oh, harsh.
Listen. Look, if this had been a full competition with a full complement of skaters, if there was all 12 of them on the ice today, he would not have been getting 3s and 3.5s, let's face it. He would have been scoring lower than that. And again, this is not me being unkind because, you know, I think when I see somebody like Ricky take to the ice, somebody who really struggles, somebody who really can't do that, and I've skated with people like that, I actually feel that they are braver than the people that get on and go, oh, this is easy, I can do this. You know, Ricky knows this is hard. He's scared all the time. You can tell that. Yeah, you can tell that he is. So he's the everyman journey that I want to see. But I still need to see more improvements. Yeah. So I'm fighting his corner too. I'm in his corner. I've got the sponge. I've got the bucket. But we're not there yet.
So Ash said, Ricky Hatton on ice, iconic. And I agree with that. To see Ricky Hatton do what he did, if you liked it or not, it's still iconic.
I mean, I liked his push-ups. I found him skating's iconic. He's iconic. Like Ricky Hatton, leave him alone. Hitman Hatton, he is iconic. On the ice, so much.
Now, Odie did give props to Robin, the pro, that she loved the choreography. However, she does want to see backward skating. And I will have to say, to get Ricky backwards at this point probably is not going to happen in the next couple of weeks.
I mean, unless he's been secretly practicing backwards and it just wasn't choreographed into his routine. Look, Robin is a very, very experienced pro. She will choreograph around Ricky to make him look the best that she can.
Yeah.
And she did a great job tonight. They had those cute little boxing outfits. Look, the best part about tonight was the boot covers. I'm not going to lie. I loved those.
Oh my God.
Covers.
The little sneakers.
So cute.
So cool.
I hope they wear them next week. Just wear them every week, Ricky, and I'll vote you through. The voting's free right now, so I could vote for him all the time.
It is free.
I would like to see Ricky do better. I would like to see him really go on a massive arc, like a Kieran Bracken style arc, where they just start and they're absolutely zero and they go on to be the absolute hero. Do I think it's going to happen? Very, very unlikely.
There's not a lot of time.
No, very unlikely.
Not a lot of time.
Ricky. We love you though.
All right, couple number 4, Amber Davis and Simon Senegal.
Boom.
Wow.
Now this is the most improved couple. From the start, she was terrible. She was so high in her legs. Her knees were completely straight. I was like, she's going to lose her teeth if she doesn't bend those knees. And then she came out and blew me away.
Okay.
No?
I see your point.
Oh.
I agree.
Like we're having a disagreement on this.
Well, no, because the first thing I thought of when we saw her in boot camp was Bonnie Langford.
Yeah.
Right? And if you've listened to the podcast, you'll have heard a couple of episodes ago, I did go in and explain about how dancers translate on the ice. You know, a West End star, Bonnie Langford, a West End star, Amber Davis. they skate up. They don't skate down, and you want to be down in those knees. You don't want to be up on those toes.
They stand very tall.
Very tall. And you're right. Her first couple of days on the ice, I was like, that looks just like Bonnie.
So stiff.
And then she came out there, and I was like, wow.
She skated really beautifully. She flowed across the ice like water.
Yeah, she really did.
So I think she's most improved, I have to say. I don't think Ricky Hatton was.
I'll agree with you on that.
Yeah, cool.
Now, they skated to Hold On To Now by Kylie Minogue, one of the new tracks. They were dressed in this beautiful lilac color. And I have to say, technically speaking, she had 3 turns, which means you're skating from forwards to backwards on one foot. You had backwards crossovers. She was flexible. Her arabesque was stunning.
And that's just below, from her waist down.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about from the waist up. Obviously dancer trained, absolutely the most graceful person that we saw on the ice tonight. Gorgeous lines, gorgeous flow. I could have watched her all night, but you're right, that arabesque was spectacular. I know professional skaters that would give their high teeth for that.
Absolutely. Now, not only did the skating impress me, the lifts that they did were very intricate. You know, again, multiple positions within the lifts, which for a girl is difficult, having to hold yourself in the air like that.
And it's interesting because we don't know anything about her partner, Simon. Obviously, he's also an Olympian. We know that much. But we personally have never seen him skate before. So as we noted, he is an ice dancer. He has an ice dance background. And obviously, he was at the Olympics in ice dance. But he came across tonight as a really caring partner. I really liked that partnership.
He really
did.
did.
They're going to go far.
I do too.
Oof.
I would say with Amber and Simon, we're looking at potential finalists here.
Dark horses there, definitely.
Now, judges scored quite high. Ash and Odie, 6.5. Jane and Chris, a 6, which gave them a total of 25 points.
And this is interesting because this is where the judges differ. Now, Ash and Oti are coming from a dance background, so obviously they are looking at her beautiful lines, and that's why they scored.
The performance.
The performance, of course, and that she's dance training. You can tell that the minute she stepped on the ice. It's beautiful. But Jane and Chris are looking at the skating technique. And of course, as we've spoken about, there's still quite a lot of work to be done there. She's still a little high in her knees, but gorgeous still.
High, a little bit high in the knees, but also there were a couple of moments when the shoulders came up, and you could see it actually when she bowed. Like I couldn't tell if it was nerves or if it was just she was just uncomfortable.
It was
right?
a coat hanger effect, wasn't it?
Yeah, the shoulders were a little bit high, so that is definitely something that they can work on.
But it's always good to have stuff to work on, right? And she definitely will be able to. And you're right, she's a dark horse.
It's week 1. Week 1. Now, Chris loved it. He thought that it flowed seamlessly, which I completely agree with that. It actually, watching that, it made me relaxed.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you watch these celebs on the first couple of weeks, you get nervous and you find yourself, oh my God, I didn't breathe for that minute and a half, or you're tense yourself. And with her, I actually sat back and I was able to enjoy it.
Oh, she flowed. I loved her. Yeah, I could watch her skate again. I actually might go home and watch that again. I'll catch up.
Now, Jane thought that she had the best spiral to date, possibly in the competition since Dancing on Ice.
I think the best spiral ever that I've ever seen from a celeb. Amazing.
And again, Jane had said that she wants to see her work on the basics too. And I think that's just across the board. It's week 1. Everybody still needs to continue working on those basics.
Of course.
Odie wants to see her work on more technique. I'm assuming that's the skating technique.
No, Oti doesn't know about skating technique. She must have meant the dance technique.
Oh, okay, maybe. Maybe that's where the posture came into play.
Yeah, because I don't think Oti would comment on the skating. She doesn't really know anything about skating, right?
No.
So, yeah, no. She must have meant the bit that you were talking about.
And then Ash did give her compliments for greatness.
Well, yes.
I mean,
we have to agree. Who could not agree with that? Compliment your greatness. Fabulous.
Exactly. All right. So after Amber and Simon, we had Hannah and Andy, Hannah Sparrett.
Hannah Spirit.
And Andy Buchanan, who is married to Robin Johnstone.
Yes, who skated with Hitman Hatton.
Yes, she did. They skated to one of my favorite all-time tracks, Ariana Grande's Break Free.
Oh, we skated to this.
We did skate to this. Oh, that's right. On the Professionals tour.
We loved this track when we skated to it. So when they came out and started skating to it, I was like over the moon.
Yeah. Blue catsuit. I was a little bit worried about the boot covers.
Yeah, yeah.
They didn't quite match.
No, what was that?
And I don't know if that was like an afterthought and they didn't have the same material. I mean, the wardrobe department is by all means the best in the business, but I just don't, it didn't match. It kind of, and it was a kind of a trousery leg, so it flopped around a little bit.
So the thing is, when you have a different boot cover to your leg, it can be really jarring and it can really draw your attention to that club foot,
Yeah.
you know? So I don't think that that was doing her any favors. However, I mean, she had confidence to spare, didn't she? She's loving it. She's loving life.
She really did. And I was surprised because seeing from her socials and reading some of the interviews and things like that, I was a little bit worried about how she was going to take this whole experience. And even from her first steps, it was very much like, oh, I got this. Yeah. And she seems to have thrown herself, no pun intended, into it. There was a lot of falls in the VT, but as we say, if you're not falling, you're not learning.
Exactly.
But what she did on this performance, I loved it.
I tell you what it is. She spoke extensively in her VT about when they lost Paul.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like because she lost Paul and she went through that, she's now skating with this kind of attitude that, you know what, I'm going to enjoy every skate like it's my last one because you never know when you're going to leave the competition.
And that is the perfect mentality to have as a celebrity doing Dancing on Ice.
She was joyful.
Yeah.
She was so joyful. When she came on the ice, she was smiling. She was happy. Of course, she was nervous. We could all tell everybody's nervous. I get that. But not as much as I think the judges read into it. They commented that she was so nervous. And I was like, I never felt that with her. I felt like she was really happy to be there. And that's so nice to see because the same with Greg Rutherford. When you see somebody that's enjoying themselves on the ice, you enjoy their performance more. So you keep it up, girl, because I loved it.
Now, this could be one of those moments where what reads in the room is different to what we see on TV. Obviously, with television, there's 12 different camera angles, if not more. We get close-ups, you get wide shots, you get, all these different sort of angles of the performance, whereas the judges only have a single angle.
Yes, but equally the judges did see them skate in the afternoon as well, and also on their dress rehearsal, and it may be that she looked a little bit more nervous then and had kind of grown into herself. I just thought she looked, quietly confident. In fact, not even that quiet about it. She was shouting from the rooftops.
And technically speaking, there were 3 turns in there. There was backward crossovers. Speed could be kind of amped up a little bit.
Room for improvement.
Room for improvement there. Her forward crossovers, again, room for improvement, but she's executing them.
She's fearless. I like her.
And her lifts, the lifts, there was so much confidence in the lifts. I really enjoyed that performance.
Well, we know that she's skating with Andy. He's a lifting master. So if she's happy to be lifted and if she's fearless in those lifts, he can do some amazing things.
And speaking of the lift, there was a little bit of a mistake on the side saddle lift that they did. Yeah. Supposedly, Jane commented on it. They were supposed to catch hands.
When we watched it, you said, was that something?
Well, something looked a little bit off because I could tell Andy was kind of waving his hand in the air, which is normally the boy like, gimme your hand. But they covered it.
Well, she didn't even miss a breath.
No.
For some celebs, they would literally go to pieces at this point, and that would possibly ruin their entire, the rest of their performance. She just carried on as if nothing had happened. What a professional. Yeah. Love her.
That'll come from a lot of her performing with S Club.
I agree with you, but a lot of the competitors that we see have got stage training and stage background, but they can still go to pieces when something goes wrong. She just flowed right through it.
She really did.
Water off a duck's back.
So scores, a little bit all over the shop, really. They weren't quite sure what to make with this performance. Ash gave her a 5, Odie gave her a 6, Jane gave her a 4, and Chris a 4.5.
And there was no booing. Where was the booing? I was booing on the inside.
Yeah, exactly. Now, she said this was probably the hardest thing she's ever done. And that's in comparison to all the arena tours that S Club have. World tours, right?
Yeah, but when you're doing an arena tour, when you're a singer and you're a dancer and that's your job and that's what you get paid to do and you're a performer, that is your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. Now you put blades on and now you get on that slippy stuff out there. No more comfort zone. So I can understand why she said that.
Yeah, for sure. Jane mentioned that the basics need to be worked on, that they could obviously get better.
I feel like you could say that about everybody in week 1.
Oh,
right?
totally.
So.
Well, that's kind of the common theme, of course. Yeah. There's room for improvement for everybody.
But now, it's interesting that the scores were so inconsistent.
Right. Oh, absolutely. That's something that I think too, I don't necessarily like when the judges all have the same score. Yes, it's consistency within the program.
But they're judging different things. Odie and Ash are judging something completely different to Jane and Chris. In fact, Odie and Ash are almost judging from the waist up, and Jane and Chris are seeing the whole picture. Mm-hmm. So I can understand why the scores are sometimes inconsistent. But on this one, I was a little bit confused by it.
Yeah, it was a little bit too much of a variance between the 4 of them. Chris said something really interesting. He discussed about the static dancing, which means that when you're stood in place on the ice and you do dancing, it's ice skating. we can all dance on the floor, right? And I have to agree with them. If you're going to do a dance sequence, do it with a little bit of forward movement.
Yeah, but equally, she's playing to her strengths. You know, she feels comfortable dancing on the spot. So, you know, for week 1, I'm going to let it slide. I'm glad that Chris pointed it out because I think it's important for people at home to know that. I personally just enjoyed the whole thing.
Now, he also mentioned toe picks.
Toe picks.
Now, if you're not familiar with ice skates, and if
as it happens, I have a pair right here.
And if you are listening to this, we can only apologize. We will try and explain this as much as possible.
But as if by magic, Frankie has
a pair of ice skates.
Brought her ice skates into frame.
Now, as you can see, there's some teeth at the front of the blade right there.
Teeth.
We use those mostly in ice skating for jumping and spinning. They sort of stop the forward or backwards movement and or momentum. There's a lot of science that goes in.
Skating along like this, if you're skating backwards in this way, if you lean forwards, the toe picks will dig in and it will help you to slow down. It also helps if you're taking off for a jump.
Right. But what we saw with Hannah this evening, which Chris commented on, was the fact that skating backwards, she is too far up into those toe picks, which slows you down, which makes it look a little bit awkward. It's actually harder to skate. And that's why we always say, bend those knees, because then your ankles will bend and it'll bring you to the sweet spot of the blade, which is just underneath sort of the ball of the foot, more a little bit further back to the arch.
However, when you skate backwards and you have the safety of these toe picks, it can make you feel very secure.
Yes.
Because you can feel them gripping into the ice and you don't feel like you're slipping.
Correct.
So, of course, we understand that sometimes when celebs are going a little bit faster or when they get a little bit nervous, they will try and drag those toe picks across the ice to slow themselves down and also to feel like they are in control.
Right.
And it's a safety mechanism.
It's a safety mechanism. And it's what's the word I'm looking for?
Smelly. Oof. Here, have a whiff.
If this was smell-o-vision or a smell-a-pod, you would be very concerned with what I can smell right now. It is Frankie's skates.
A little bit whiffy. Okay, so.
A little bit.
Yeah, so I understand why she was on her toe picks. However, as much as the toe picks can give you that sense of security and safety, they can also trip you up, Hannah. So just be a little bit careful with that.
You have to be very careful. And I think that's why Ash said that she looked a little bit reserved. A little bit of fear, a little bit of nerves. But again, it's a matter of the placement of her body in comparison to the boots.
And of course, Ashley wouldn't understand the technicalities behind that as a skater, which is why we're here to explain that for you.
Exactly. But overall, the judges were a little bit confused with the scores. I enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward to what's to come from Hannah.
I think the judges gave Hannah that feedback that she needs to relax more. I think the judges need to relax more. If they'd have just relaxed and enjoyed it, they would have given her 10s. Lovely.
A little bit too soon for a 10.
So fun.
All right. Last but not...
Put these away.
Yes, please put those skates away because they smell like a trash can.
Oh, harsh. Well, let's smell your skates. Oh, lavender foot. No, let's not.
Why? They smell brand new.
I don't think...
Because they are.
Are they brand new? Have you skated in them?
Twice.
Ooh, no thanks. Still. Okay, let's move on. Ryan Thomas and Amani Fancy. Ryan Thomas and Amani Fancy. Ryan Thomas and Amani Fancy knocked it out of the
Now, we are going to do our golden envelope predictions next week after we see the second 6 perform. However...
Well, those second 6 better up their game.
This performance was insane.
Yeah.
Week 1, Ryan and Amani... Holy cow.
They skated to sex on fire. They were fire on ice.
They were fire on sex.
I mean, that sounds painful. They were fire on ice. And I liked my line. You had to up it.
I tried. I tried at least. So first steps. Boot camp with Ryan. I knew the second I saw that, I was like, he can skate.
He literally had never been on the ice before, so he said, stepped from the side of the ring onto the ice and off he went. Yeah. And he was fast and he was confident and he was throwing himself all over the place. He did not care.
He was doing hockey stops on day 1.
I'm speechless. I have no words. He was great.
So speaking of the performance, the back crossovers, incredible. The speed, from what we can tell from TV, looked sublime. 3 turns, mohawks, he especially done in waltz hold, which you don't see from the male celebrity until halfway through the series.
To be that close to somebody with somebody's feet right underneath you.
Now, they showed that he did take a pretty bad tumble with Amani in rehearsals on the spinning airplane, which...
I didn't like that.
Basically, the guy is holding the girl by one arm and one leg. it's a rotating lift. All right. The balance has to be perfect. And as we saw in the VT, they did take a tumble. It probably sounded a lot worse than it was. It does shake them up because that was probably his first big fall ever.
Well, and also she is entirely in his hands. She has not one part of her is touching the ice. So he feels incredibly responsible for her, as he should. And I think we saw the aftermath of that was that he was quite shaken by that. Mm-hmm. He had a moment.
However, they went out there in this performance and he totally nailed it.
And this is what I would say to my celebs. You know, sometimes you fall on a trick. You may fall on that trick, but you may have done that trick 10 times, 100 times. You may do it another 10 times, another 100 times afterwards, and you fell once. It's okay to fall. If you're not falling, you're not learning, as you said.
Yep.
And so I'm sure that she will have had that pep talk with him and said, yes, you fell this time. Let's do it again, because next time you won't. Last time you didn't.
Yeah. And it's something that we don't really talk a lot about within ice skating, especially with dancing on ice, is that this is by far the most inconsistent sport that's out there, right? We train for 365 days, give or take, for an Olympic performance, right? The same routine, the same 4 minutes.
Day in, day out.
Day in, day out. And then you get to the Olympics and you mess it up.
And you still mess it up.
Right? So it's just something that is part of the learning process with this show.
So give yourself a break, Ryan. You were amazing.
And so amazing, he did a 2-foot spin.
So he did a 2-foot spin by himself. Love that on week 1. Where's he going to go from here? Well, I hope he's going to go to a 1-foot spin. And Jane said the same thing.
She did.
Jane Torval, I agree 100%. Let's see that 1-foot spin. Bust it out.
Now, did you notice towards the end, there was a little bit of a wobble? It was kind of a wide shot that the TV cameras had. It was right in front of the judges. So I was a little bit
mentioned it.
I was a little bit worried that they would have mentioned it, but I think the overall performance, there was just so much to talk about that nobody really kind of mentioned the wobble.
But here's the thing, because Ryan is confident, he's fast, he's enthusiastic, he's fun, he's excited.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to calm down a little bit. Only because, and look, Ryan, I'm loving it, so bring it more. But when you get a little bit overexcited, and I know it was the first show, so I understand that it's excitement and nervous combined, but sometimes you just have to calm it down.
Yeah.
And I hope Hermione's going to be able to take him aside backstage before they perform and say, hey, let's just bring everything back down to ground zero so that we can go out there and do what you do exactly the same as you do it in training. There's this thing where sometimes celebrities get onto the ice and the cameras go on and they've got their friends and family and the audience and everybody's cheering them and they can take it up a notch. And when you take it up a notch, that's when you can trip and fall.
And my tip to him would be, go run around the studio 5 or 6 times before you put your skate on.
Exactly that. And stay away from all those sugary snacks in the green room.
Yeah. No caffeine. Really control those nerves. And it's not nerves of like, oh, I'm nervous to do this. It's that adrenaline rush, because when that hits, your body doesn't know what to do with it.
And I think especially with people who are theatre trained or performance trained, they have this kind of routine where you do the rehearsal and you do the rehearsal and you do the rehearsal, and that's great. But you know that when those cameras come on, you have to do it better. But in skating, actually, you have to remain consistent. You can't skate up. You have to do it the same every single time. So that means you need to be performing it in your rehearsals the way that you'll perform it when you get onto the ice. And I think a lot of theatre-trained people have that extra notch that they can take up, that extra little bit of jazz hands, sparkly performance level, that can trip you up. So Ryan, just rein it in a tiny bit, but I love you.
Now, judges, Ash 6.5, Odie 7, Jane 6.5, Chris 6.5, which gave him a total top of the leaderboard 26.5. Big scores for week 1.
I know, but again, I feel that was, they were holding back. I feel that the judges were holding back because it's week 1 and they had to.
Yeah.
I would have given him higher.
Would you?
I would have. Yeah, I would have. Oh no, somebody did give him did someone give him a 7? Who was that?
Odie gave him a 7.
I would have given him higher. I would have gone with OT on the 7s across the board.
I would have probably stayed with the rest of them at 6.5. I agree. It was
a party, aren't you?
I'm the sober one in the corner.
Oh.
But no, I mean, I think you don't want to give him too much confidence in the very first show, right? He does need to keep his...
He needs to keep his cool, but I wanted to celebrate with them. Literally, I wanted to get on the ice and run around with them. They were fun.
Odie definitely celebrated. Now I have to say, Odie, if you're listening to this, it's called a spin, not a pirouette on ice. I understand on the floor and in ballroom it's called a pirouette, but we like to call them spins.
Because we do it a lot faster than you guys.
And a lot more rotations.
Yeah, it's harder.
But so she loved the spin. Jane said that he was solid on his feet, wants to see more, or wants to see the spin, like you just said.
Yeah. Jane did compliment him on his good technique as well.
Yeah, she did. Which he was there. His
Yeah.
posture was amazing. He had the technical skills of somebody that you'd see like in a final already. Ash.
Did you just say in a final?
I did.
Wow.
I did.
Well, I can't wait to see your golden envelope.
Rude. Ash.
Golden envelope.
You'll see it next week.
I can't wait.
If the Amazon order comes in.
Where do we get golden envelopes from? Like, it's like Willy Wonka.
Amazon.
Okay, Amazon. Well, are they sponsoring us too?
Yes.
Oh, I wish they were.
They are now.
I wish they were.
Ash is expecting big things. I think we all are expecting big things from him.
After a performance like that, where can you go though? I mean, they've been practicing that performance for at least 3 or 4 weeks, so they will feel very confident with that and very comfortable with that. The real test will come later in the series when you've only got a few days to turn this around. Then what will they be able to do? Then we will see the real Ryan and Amani.
Now, did you notice that she got emotional in the kiss and cry speech? Amani did.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like there was a lot of kinetic energy between them, should we say?
Yeah, and you do bond with your celeb quite quickly in an environment like this, but I don't think I've ever seen tears on week 1.
I was surprised myself.
Is it because this is a new experience for her?
No, she's done Dancing on Ice in Germany before, so she knows this process and she knows how it works.
Okay.
I'm not sure what's going on there. I think to be confirmed.
What are you saying?
No, I'm just saying I don't know.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
saying I don't know. I'm saying I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right, we'll put a button on that.
Yeah.
And I agree 100% with Chris. That routine absolutely made me smile. Yes, a little rough around the edges, but as he said, you polish that up and it'll be a shining star.
He said shining star twice. That's how much he liked it. Like New York, New York. So we need to touch briefly before you move on, because I know you're dying too, but we need to just a little bit talk about that outfit.
What? You didn't like it?
Oh, no. Did you? It was brown.
I thought he looked great.
It was brown. It was brown.
What's wrong with brown? I'm wearing brown. No, I'm not wearing brown. I thought I was wearing brown.
Well, listen, there's nothing wrong with brown if you're walking around a shopping mall like the lovely Lakeside Shopping Centre here.
Shameless plug.
However, look, brown on the ice, I'm not a fan. I just didn't like it. It was tie-dye, it was brown, it was grey, it was screaming, let's go to the bank.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, no.
It
looked great. She looks amazing anyway. She was in black. Okay, that's easy.
I think
Brown?
it just fit the whole sort of like rock theme. There was big pyro, all the fire cannons and all of that.
Again, I bet you're fun at a party. Brown.
Well, look who's wearing the sequins tonight. Not me. Speaking of Ryan and Amani, top of the leaderboard with that score and that performance. Yes, they were.
I didn't focus on the leaderboard, sorry.
Why didn't you?
I don't know, because I was just like, they were great, and then there was Ricky.
Okay. Well, the leaderboard decides a lot.
I know, but it's already decided that Ricky's going to be in the skate-off.
Well, no, that was
Is that what
part
you were
judges.
leading to?
That was what I was trying to get to.
Sorry.
You jumped the gun here.
Sorry.
Amber and Simon, second. Greg and Vanessa James, third. And we are going to say Vanessa James because there is also Vanessa Bauer, and we don't want to confuse anyone. Roxy and Sylvan were then fourth. Hannah and Andy were fifth. And then bottom of the leaderboard was Ricky and Robin. So unfortunately, we are going to see Ricky and Robin in the skate-off next week.
But not unfortunately, because I want to see them skate again. And actually, when you're in the skate-off, it gives you
just Robin is going to have one hell of a week.
Yeah, there is that.
Because we have a week to sit on the skate-off.
But she has a week to prepare. The person who is in the skate-off next week, or the couple that are in the skate-off next week, do not have the luxury of that extra
They literally have 5 minutes.
They have 5 minutes to get their head around that. She has time, and Ricky has time, and he, as we know, as a born athlete, is going to come out fighting. I mean, all punches blazing. I don't even know what that is. Do you blaze when you punch? I don't know. I do. I blaze punch.
I don't punch at all.
I blaze. I'm on fire. Fire. So, yeah, they have a week to prepare. And we should talk about that because people often say, well, it's not fair. Okay, technically, everybody this week should be working on their routine for next week and also on their skate-off because you never know if you're going to be in that skate-off or not. You should not be sitting on your laurels thinking, hey, I'm smashing it out the park. You should also be working on your skate-off. It's the most important skate.
I'm just thinking from Robin's standpoint, because I've been in her position before,
We
just
all
a couple of years ago when Candace and I went out for the first week. The week is hard because all they're doing is concentrating on the skate off.
Well,
and
you
you
can
also have your second routine to start training for as well.
I know, in case you do get through. I mean, you can get paralysis by analysis. You can overtrain it as well. And then you're overthinking it. And then you're second guessing every single minute movement. The other problem is as well, that isn't always touched on, is that yes, you have a week to prepare for it. But when you're sitting there during that second show, you have to watch everybody else skate and how amazing they are. And you're thinking, wow, I have to go up against one of these people. Can I beat number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, or number 6.
It's hell.
It's horrific. So you have to take your celeb away from that and say, hey, let's not watch this. Let's just do our routine. Let's just calm down and take everything back to basics. But yeah,
actually, that just made me feel sick.
Oh, it's totally triggering because we've been there. It triggers you. It's traumatizing.
The anxiety that whole week, because nobody wants to go out first.
No.
I mean,
and it's professional pride kicks in.
Totally. And especially, your celeb doesn't want to go out first as well, because it's totally professional pride.
And this is where dancing on ice becomes a head game.
Yeah.
But Ricky will be prepared for that, I feel, because
Is that why I'm so messed up?
Yeah. You need to prepare.
16 years.
I feel that Ricky will come out punching. I keep saying that. I keep using the same analogy with Ricky, but obviously
it's true.
He's a fighter. Yeah, he's a fighter.
Yeah. Now
he's faced a lot worse.
So coming up next week, we have whom we've yet to see on the ice at all, really, because we couldn't tell them apart in the opening number.
Yep.
Claire, Eddie, Ricky, Lou, Miles, and Adele.
Yeah.
So one of those are going to be up against Ricky Hatton in that skate off, and somebody will go home next week.
Oh, it's heartbreaking.
Full stop.
Sorry. Well, it is. I have nothing else to say after that. It is heartbreaking. Look, we've all been there.
Yes.
And you're fighting for survival.
Yeah.
Literally fighting for survival. And people go, oh, it's just an ice skating show. Yes, it is. But nobody joins an ice skating show to go out first.
No.
Everybody joins an ice skating show to win it.
Yeah.
So once your journey's over so quickly, it's heartbreaking.
It's
not heartbreaking like your first love. It's not heartbreaking like that.
Yeah.
But it's really sad because you do train really hard. You do bond with all these people. You bond with your skating partner. You feel bad that you're letting down your professional partner. Of course you do.
Well, and it's a huge investment. Do you know what I mean? Because they've been at this since September, October,
yeah.
right? And then it's a matter of it literally disappears.
Yeah.
Next Sunday, somebody's Dancing an Ice journey will disappear.
Well, I hope it's not mine.
It won't be yours because you are booked for next week for sure. Now, a little random fact. I don't know if you noticed, but one of the ad breaks, because I do watch the commercials sometimes.
Well, I do too.
The Super Vet.
Oh.
I just learned this today.
Noel Fitzpatrick.
Is what? Noel Fitzpatrick, the Super Vet.
So Annabelle on production told us, sneaky, on the down low, because she Googled it, that Noel Fitzpatrick is the subject of the Britney Spears song, Toxic. I just went full Britney, people.
With the hand in the ear and everything.
I went full Britney.
I did not know that. How crazy. Oh, well, because he dated Kathy Dennis, and Kathy Dennis wrote Toxic.
About him.
Maybe this will be a spinoff of another podcast. It's called The Secrets Behind the Adverts.
The stories behind the commercial break. Oh, it doesn't roll off the tongue.
At all.
I'm sorry.
It sounds really boring, actually.
It's really awful. Okay, let's move on.
We'll stick with that.
Hey, Noel, sorry. You're a great vet, though. And if I ever need pet help, you're my man.
Pet's Vet.
Pet's vet.
Frankie, I think we need an ad break.
Yeah, shout out to our sponsors, Lakeside Shopping Centre, the leading retail and leisure destination in Essex.
Just 35 minutes from London with free parking and over 250 stores to discover. Thanks, Lakeside.
So let's go straight to the questions, Matt.
Absolutely.
We've had so many questions coming in on socials. I love that people are interacting with us already. I feel like we're so new and I feel so privileged that people want to know stuff. And actually, we are your insider insights. So ask us those questions because we basically know everything.
We know everything about anything, including the Super Bet.
Dancing on ice.
Rochelle did email in.
I love Rochelle. She had some great questions.
She had some really, really good questions, and we'll get to those first because they're a little bit longer of an explanation. But what is the best attitude to have as a contestant?
The best attitude to have is I am going to work hard every single day, but I'm also going to have fun and enjoy it.
And I think that is the secret to the success of the show that I always had was have fun.
You have to make it fun because you can't be in an ice rink, freezing cold, sometimes soaking wet if you've fallen over, and freezing cold for hours and upon hours without being able to see the funny side and have a little bit of fun to counteract that. You'd go crazy.
Oh, absolutely crazy. And it's such a hard thing to do. It's such a hard sport to learn that if you're not having fun, it can be miserable.
Just move a little bit
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm squeaky.
That's
I
all right.
got leather trousers on a leather sofa. It was a bad costume choice. Feel like Ryan Thomas in his brown. It's a bad choice. Sorry, peeps. So do we have any more questions? Who else have we got questions from? Oh, wait, Rochelle had a second question.
She had a second question, yeah. What does it take to make a successful partnership?
I mean, you can't make a successful partnership. You know, that's like saying, what does it take to make a successful marriage? Either you're going to gel from the beginning or you're not. If you do, that's fantastic. You're golden. If you don't, then you're going to have to really work hard at it. And the cracks will show. You know, if you don't get on with your partner, or if you don't trust your partner, or if you're not enjoying the experience you're having with your partner, and I'm talking about the professional skating partners and the celebs, then you have to just go into super professional mode and try to make it work. But this show is all about connection and it's all about trust.
Well, exactly. And I think too, you can always see, yes, you can paint the smile on for the performance, but watch the VTs. Watch the moments and the small little clips of the pro and or the celeb when they don't think the camera is there, because you can read a lot into how the partnership is forming through those times too.
And also on social media these days, you know, we get more insight into how people are getting along. And of course, you can still fake it and you can retake it and you can re-edit it. We know that. And you can cover the good and the bad with that. But still, you know, the camera never lies.
It sure doesn't. Now, we ran a couple of polls on the podcast on Spotify. The first one was, do you guys think a guy or a girl is going to win?
So, what were the results? Let me know.
28% of them were undecided. And fair enough, because they hadn't seen anything, right? 7% thought that a gal was going to win. I'm rooting for a gal to win because we've had so many.
For so long.
Like, it's been like 7 years.
Yeah.
And then obviously 64% thought that a guy was going to win.
I mean,
It also is mostly a female audience, right?
They're voting for the hotties, aren't they? The
Yeah.
hot guys. I mean, it's a safe bet to say a male will win it. I don't know why, but somehow males tend to take to the ice a little bit better and they have more confidence, as we've seen with Ryan, as we've seen with Greg. But I think tonight the girls showed there was quiet confidence there. You know, all of the girls really stepped up.
They really did.
So let's hope that this year we get a really great final with women in it.
Amen to that.
Well, then you need to start voting.
Well, we are going to run this poll again now that we've seen half the cast, and then we'll run it again once we've seen the whole cast. So keep checking the Spotify links to update your answer with what you think, or with who you think is going to win this year.
So do you think it's going to be a boy or a girl?
I think it's going to be a girl.
You just want it to be a girl?
I want it to be a girl. I'm going to will that to the universe.
I can see it.
I'm all about
I can see you winning.
visualization, manifestation.
I can see you manifesting.
It's because I'm jet lagged. All right. Then the second poll that we ran, it was the best ever champion.
Yeah.
So from like Ray Quinn, Suzanne Shaw, Haley Tamiden, Jake Quickenden, Kieran Bracken, all of these. All right.
All great champions, let's face it.
And incredible results on this. So many of you voted on this. In fifth place, Beth Tweddle.
Oh, yes. I forgot about Beth. She was brilliant.
Number
skated with
Lukash.
Our great friend.
And then coming in fourth, Suzanne Shaw, who I skated with. That was series 3.
Yeah, I'm still a bit bitter about that.
Because it was against you.
Yeah, that's right.
Chris
She'll
Fountain.
take a deep breath out.
Now, there was a tie for second place, or there was joint second, as you say here in the UK, with Kieran Bracken and Haley Tamiden.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, yeah, they were both very popular champions. I think Kieran really showed that arc of being a terrible, terrible skater at the beginning, not being a natural, and then working like crazy until he became this amazing skater and he won the show.
Yeah.
And Haley had the, incredible Jai Ho, and she had some beautiful moments. So, yeah, I can see why they were both.
And then your ultimate champion, Ray Quinn.
Whoop, whoop.
Ray Quinn had 41% of those votes.
And as I said on the previous podcast, Ray really embraced the sport. Of course, he was dance trained. He was a ballroom dancer. We know that. He was performance trained. We know that. But he could skate.
He really could. And he still can. He came back a couple of years ago to do the competition that we saw tonight. Josie came in, pushed on a sleigh, which she looked fabulous. but Ray still can skate after all these years.
Yeah, he was great. So I can understand that. And I was Team Ray, I think, all along because I just loved the way that he loved our sport.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Did you just scratch your mustache?
I did.
The itchy.
Got a little bit itch.
Keep those questions coming. Some great questions there from Michelle. We will definitely be answering your questions as we get to them throughout the series. We may not answer them straight away that week, but we will get to as many as we possibly can because we love interacting with you guys and we love all these questions. It really reignites my passion for ice skating when I see how interested you guys are in the sport.
And I love getting emails and DMs because it's like Christmas.
Slide into Matt's DMs and he will hit you up because we're on Instagram at ice.breakers.pod.
Exactly.
We're on YouTube. We're on TikTok. I'm on Twitter personally, so you can always hit me up with some questions because I can talk for England.
You're a great tweeter.
I'm a Twitter.
Or now are you an Xer?
I'm an Xer. I'm an ex-Twitter.
Ex-Twitter user.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, I think that's it for this week. I think you need to go to bed and get some sleep. You're jet lagged. I can see your little eyes closing. Woo.
The bags are coming and that's not my luggage.
Need a little caffeine injection. So I'm going to see you next week. It's been so great. I've loved every minute. I can't wait to see the next 6 celebrities. Let's get them out there. Let's get them on the ice and let's get this podcast in their bag.
Thank you guys for listening. And if you're watching us, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. Again, thank you to Lakeside for this beautiful studio. And we will see you guys next week.
We'll see you next week for the Icebreakers podcast.